Yawes ganok agoy ko. Lauren Nick Gaso. Anondawat Gatni. Agaydayak Gatni ko. Welcome, everybody. My name is Lauren. I'm of the people of the Great Hill, and I'm also the Heron Clan. I grew up on a Cattaraugus Indian reservation, and in 1998, I made the decision to move to Rochester. Cattaraugus is about a 2-hour drive from here, but for me, it's like a whole other world away. In 98, I made the decision to move here because I was 16 years old and I had a 4-month-old child. And I wanted that child to grow up with opportunities that I didn't have. So it was on September 13th in 98 that I went to our annual Community Fall Festival, and I met up with my uncle there. Since we were at the Fall Festival, I wanted to say goodbye to everybody that I knew, and it took all day long. And it was around 4 o'clock that my uncle approached me, and he said, "Lauren, it's 4 o'clock, it's getting late, we gotta go." So we packed our things into his van, and we began our voyage. I was so scared leaving. I was so scared that I cried. I cried myself to sleep during the first half of that trip. When I woke up, we were at our new home in Victor, New York. My children and I have called this place home for the past 20 years. This is Ganondagan State Historic Site. And we stayed there with my aunt and uncle. When I moved there, I quickly learned that this place is the site of a 17th century Seneca town. Now what that means is that my ancestors lived there in the village in the 1600s. While my children and I lived there, we got to learn about the daily lives of our ancestors. I wondered why it was at that point that I was learning about these things. And I internally questioned why I didn't learn about these things when I was growing up on the res. Nonetheless, I embraced the lessons. When I was 23 years old, I decided to go to college. And that was when I started learning, asking myself another internal question. I asked myself, am I an apple? Am I red on the outside and white on the inside? It was like I was consistently checking in with myself to make sure that I was being true to where I came from and becoming the person that I was supposed to be. However, it was when I was in college, I learned several things. It was in college when I was studying fine art and I was able to express myself through my art. And it was in college when I was learning about the subject of historical trauma, and it brought to my awareness why elders discouraged young people from leaving the reservation. And it was in college when I was studying art therapy where I found answers to the questions that I had about my own behaviors and my own thoughts. I thought about the way that elders discouraged young people from leaving the reservation, and I realized that the reason that they discouraged young people from leaving the res is because back in the 1800s, people were forced away from their homes and their families and forced to attend these boarding schools where there was an attempt to kill the Indian to save the man. I thought about it, and I thought, how ironic is it that the same system that attempted to take the identity of my elders is the same system where I found mine. I found myself in the education system. In 2016, in November, my son Angel and I went to Standing Rock. At Standing Rock, there was a camp where people were occupying this land. It was a site where the Dakota Access Pipeline was being built, a project that enabled crude oil to be transported through a pipe that ran underneath the Missouri River. This pipeline ran through treaty land of the Standing Rock Sioux. Those people were moved to protect not only their lands, but also to protect the water. Many other people felt the call. Angel and I were among 10,000 other people when we were there. Angel and I were there for 3 days, and we became a part of this community. Everybody there, their purpose was to protect the water, and it was incredibly beautiful. Everybody was very welcoming, and everybody treated each other very well. And there was a woman in our campsite. One day she told me, she said, everything that we need is right here. There's no reason to leave. When she said that to me, I thought about the way that Ganondagan ran as a village just like that. Everybody put in together to provide for the community as a whole. When we got there, I had a friend that had been there. He guided us into the camp. When we entered, there was a woman at the entrance, and she oriented us and she welcomed us in. And me and Angel started following my friend on Flag Road, the main road into camp. We started to roll up our windows, and then we stopped. We could smell the burning of the campfires, sage, and Indian tobacco. It reminded me of entering the ceremonial longhouse. And if you close your eyes, and if you think about being embraced by a grandmother and how soft and warm she feels, and you smell her perfume. Or if you enter into the household from your childhood and you smell your favorite food cooking. That was what it was like for Angel and I entering camp. And I looked over at Angel, and I felt tears running down my cheeks. And I said, Angel, we made it. We're home. That experience made me think differently about spaces. Me and Angel came home, and I drive around the Rochester area a lot. I drive everywhere. And as I'm driving in my car, I look out at the landscape in my car window. And as I'm looking, I think about how my ancestors walked this territory. The word Onondagatwa means people of the Great Hill. And we, as Seneca people, that's how we refer to ourselves. The hill that word mentions is South Hill, and that hill is in Canandaigua. And I can go to Canandaigua Lake, and I can see that hill. When I approach the shores of Lake Ontario, I think about the peacemaker who united the Haudenosaunee people, the Ganawida. Haudenosaunee is what we refer to ourselves, but others know them as the Iroquois Confederacy. I drive to Ithaca, and on my drive to Ithaca, I pass Seneca Lake, and I continue, and then I pass Cayuga Lake. And I think about, I actually imagine how where those two lakes end, that served as a goalpost for Haudenosaunee men playing a game of Dawa'eant, a game that you know today as lacrosse. My ancestors inhabited this territory right here, and I can only imagine how magnificent their lives were. Transitioning between these spaces has really made me think. And my thoughts are that my culture does not exist in a physical space. My culture exists within my mind, and it exists within my heart. And it is up to me to share with people as I see fit. I am immensely proud of the person that has emerged from the questions, the doubts, and the fears. And I have found a space where I feel whole. Donnie ho.